We are inching ever closer to Sunday. This might be Saturday morning. It might be Friday night. I don't know, but we are just inches. By this time, unfortunately, we may be looking foolish because who knows if the date of launch has been moved. But as far as we knew on Thursday when we recorded this, it was going to be Sunday. And CERN, you don't know it, but as we're doing this, well, I guess you do know it. As we're as this is being actually viewed, you are either near or already in Austin
Should be in Austin by Sunday. Yep.
by Sunday, time for the launch.
So with this show, I'll be in two places at the same time.
There you go. That's going to be great. So I kept on saying that if they were going to do a launch, I mean, come on, if you're going to do a launch, do it right. They should have Governor Abbott at the very least there for the launch, maybe the POTUS. So what do you think? Do you think you'll get a chance to shake hands with the governor or with the president when you're down there for the launch?
Yeah, that could be interesting, and that would give the president an opportunity to mend his feud with Elon. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's absolutely right. That'd be a good way to do it. You know, be there for the launch of the most valuable product or service that has ever been launched. You would think
When
the
the president's riding in a Robotaxi, is it called Robotaxi One?
100%, absolutely. But it would have to be a red Model S.
Well, if he didn't give it away,
I know. I know.
I don't know if he did or not.
Well, I know that since robotaxis and autonomous driving and things like that are on our mind, I think that you've pulled together a few more slides that dig into that subject matter.
We've got a few things to discuss. Yeah, I think some of this will be fun, and some of this will be very informative, enlightening, perhaps.
Okay.
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay.
First of all, I must dispense with this,
Nice. Of course.
the disclaimer. You can probably recite this word for word by now. You've seen it so many times.
I have. I have.
Yeah. All right, Randy, let's go back to a former life where we used to count cars. Right? That may be just a few months ago, perhaps. I don't know, but things are quickly progressing away from that.
Yes.
But you know, if you recall, if you remember that former life, we used to worry about how many cars Tesla produced and sold,
Right.
right? Because you know they were a car company, Randy.
They
Um,
used to be a hardware business.
yeah. This is for one country. Okay, this is kind of interesting. This is Norway. Norway is the leading country in the world in terms of its transition to EVs.
Right.
Okay? I'm not sure that they sell any non-electric vehicles anymore. If they do, it's very, very few.
Some months none, and some months a few. Yes.
Yeah. Now, if I was making this chart, I wouldn't use two different colors of green, but nonetheless, we have a dark green for 2024 and a light green for
Oh,
2025.
okay.
And this is month by month.
Okay.
And you can see here that in the month of May in 2025, we had a very strong month
Very strong.
versus what we saw the same month a year ago. April was similar, March was similar, January and February were low. Now, if you also recall that Tesla wasn't really making the new Model Y in January and February.
Right.
So that kind of explains this. So now what we're seeing, now we want to compare the month of June. And you can see that June historically is a pretty strong month
Yeah. Yeah.
for auto sales in Norway, and September is generally the highest, or certainly based on last year.
Hmm.
Okay.
Something
And
happens to July.
July they go on vacation.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So here is daily Tesla deliveries in Norway. With some European countries, we have daily data.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, yesterday was, I believe, a record high, maybe not all time, but at least over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Over 300 Model Ys essentially were delivered in Norway yesterday. So June so far has been pretty strong. If
Very
we go
strong.
back to this chart, I think right now in June we are above the 2,000 mark in June
I see. Okay. At halfway.
as of the 17th or 18th, whenever this data was cut.
Okay.
So it's on track to be a very strong month.
Right. Right.
So brand damage in Norway is so far so good.
He's not.
Is not.
Yes.
Okay. And then if we expand this a little bit to cumulative Tesla data from some European countries, and the some European countries are UK, Norway, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Czech Republic, and Iceland.
Okay.
Does not include Germany,
Right.
but the UK, I think, is the largest European EV market, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So here is in purple, light purple, Q2 of 2025. It's the lowest line on this chart. It's tracking a little bit lower,
Hmm.
but not crazy low. It's moving up
Right.
just like they did in prior quarters. Now, Q2 of 2024 is the green line. So
Okay.
that's kind of the comparable quarter. So we should expect the next couple of weeks historically to be pretty strong.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this will be something to keep an eye on. But so far, not terrible. Like it's not like the company's fallen off a cliff in Europe.
And Norway is certainly showing that it's, you know, doing the normal thing.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So that doesn't look terrible to me.
Right. Right.
Obviously, we'd like it to be stronger. It'd be awesome if
Sure.
it was up here with this red line. Sure, that's Q4, you know, fine. But the company's not falling off a cliff.
Right. Right.
And then this is the same data. So sort of over the year, you can see that there's a end of quarter push.
Hmm.
And so 2025, the red line. So we should again expect the next couple of weeks to be really strong
Hmm.
for Q2 and kind of among the strongest kind of in the whole year, these next 2 weeks in Europe,
Hmm.
with perhaps the end of the quarter in Q3 maybe being perhaps higher. So if you're counting cars, the next don't go on vacation the next 2 weeks, Randy. You want to stick by your computer.
Okay.
All right. And then perhaps to make it a little bit easier to look at, here's kind of the cumulative trend
I see.
for 25 versus the last 2 years. We're trailing a little bit.
Yep.
But again, we're expecting a nice little bump here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So stay tuned. We'll update everybody on this.
All right.
All right. Let's move over to China. They report weekly data, weekly insured units. And so we observed, I think you and I talked about this, that in the last quarter, the last 5 weeks were kind of the big weeks for sales in China.
Right.
And those were the yellow weeks here in Q1. Things drop off as they export a lot of vehicles and don't prioritize domestic sales.
Hmm.
And then here now we've got 3 of the 5 ending weeks in the quarter. We've got 2 more to go. And we were tracking this, and the first one looked pretty good. The second one was low. There was a holiday in there,
Hmm.
national holiday that kind of depressed things, and we've bounced back. And so, relative to where we were in Q1, we're a little bit underwater, but we are expecting pretty strong numbers for the next 2 weeks.
Right. Right.
So you want to monitor European data for the next 2 weeks and then the Chinese data. Okay. So that's good. And here, by the way, is how we're tracking for the full year. We're way above 2022 numbers, the red line, red dots. 23 is the green and 24 is the blue. So we're tracking very closely to the blue dots in China.
Hmm. And it wouldn't take much to get back up on top of that one.
It wouldn't. Okay. So that's the vehicles. Now, Randy, here's something that I found to be semi-interesting. Job openings
Oh,
for positions rated to the semi. Not sure if
yeah.
you caught my joke there, but this is semi-interesting to me.
Semi-interesting. Oh, yeah. Okay. Whoops. Yeah. Right past me.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a good sign. Hiring for a whole bunch of positions for the semi business.
Oh, yeah. The semi thing. In fact, people should, if they didn't see it, they really should go back and listen to Wednesday night's video with Brian Wang. That was one of the things we talked about. This is the semi is semi forgotten about. And it is a big, big, big business. The other announcement this week, maybe I'm predicting what you're going to say in a minute, but Europe is now a definite for the semi. And that was announced just a few days ago.
Yeah, and that's fantastic.
So you're talking about, according to Brian, about the same size market for semis in Europe as we have in the United States, but it's like a fraction of the market in Asia. But it's good numbers. You could easily sell a couple 100,000 semis a year in the United States and another couple 100,000 in Europe, and there's no zero significant. I mean, there's really no competition. No competition, really no competition for an inexpensive electric vehicle and zero competition for an autonomous. So once we have both of those things, it's just they should be able to name their price.
It'd be interesting. If they really want to test autonomous semis, the Australian market would be the place to go
Oh yeah,
because the semis there have to watch out for kangaroos.
I see. That's true.
They have these big rubars on the front to
Rhubars.
protect the truck. Yeah, so if you hit a kangaroo, it doesn't destroy the truck. But, a semi with FSD should be able to nimbly avoid
More. Yeah.
a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be some interesting videos there. This was interesting. This is, according to this post, the German YouTuber Electro Trucker setting out to educate people on the electrification of the trucking industry. And so he did a real world calculation of what emissions look like when comparing diesel and battery electric trucks.
Mm.
And based on his calculations, that when you include the emissions of even making the truck, it only takes 3.5 months
Wow.
for the truck to, they say, break even, but produce less emissions after
Right.
3.5 months than a diesel truck. And these trucks are in service for, 10 years.
Yeah. 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 So now imagine if you go to autonomous and you're doing 4 shifts, you'll break even in 1 month.
Yeah, the trucking industry needs this product really badly. It's a very important product. Maybe not from a revenue perspective for Tesla, although I think it could be quite decent,
Oh yeah, huge.
right? And particularly the autonomous trucking side of things.
Right.
Yeah. All right. And then speaking of jobs, we have they're recruiting 9 job openings in the US under the keyword new product. Waiting for the new product is always exciting.
Whoa, under just new product.
Yeah.
Okay, it's got to be a drone.
I know you'd like it to be.
Okay, I did a whole video on this, and maybe, sir, maybe I'll send you my list if you ever want to do something about it in the future. I did a video, I think, on my top 16 or something ideas of what the next product would be, what's the most likely, like HVAC and
Yeah.
EDOL, and but the two that I think, so I think drones should be way at the top of the list of possibilities. But another one Elon hinted at, and he said there would be other non-humanoid or other products that would use real world AI that would be, I believe, I should go back and get the quote, but I believe it intimated that these would be something that would also be used in the factory or the warehouse.
Mm.
So that may be what the next product is some other kind of product that might be a non-humanoid version. Maybe it's a tall, a 7-foot tall humanoid. Maybe it's a 3-foot tall humanoid. But some kind of a different product that is used in the factory. Seems as if it's the only statement I've heard Elon make that was specifically saying we're working on another product, in this direction.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at this list, right? We've got a launch engineer, new product introduction, general assembly in Fremont, a project engineer, new product introduction, cell manufacturing in Sparks, Nevada,
Yeah.
project engineer, new product introduction in Buffalo, New York,
Yeah.
senior project engineer for the Megapack in Berkshire, Texas, right? I think I'm not sure, is that the site that's just outside of Houston? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Launch engineer for seats in Fremont.
Huh.
So is that the Robovan? I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
New product introduction technician, battery cell manufacturing in Nevada. Okay. And then production supervisor, battery remanufacturing in Buffalo. Project engineer, energy remanufacturing in Sparks, Nevada, and then engineering technician, energy, new product introduction in Sparks, Nevada. So an interesting smattering of different roles there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow.
I love this response. Interviewer, how do you see yourself helping with this new product? Answer, I'm just here to find out what the new product is. So that
Yeah.
was clever.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Then the Tesla account posted this. Guys, what if the taxis were robots? And then somehow my reply got interjected in here, but I'll read the one below that first. This is from Tesla Optimus account. Says, I don't like this wording. So there seems to be, some battles between the siblings here in the Tesla
Yes.
universe.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
My comment was robots with wheels? Yes. Robots with better than human level driving skills? Yes. Robots that you can just talk to? Question
Absolutely.
mark. Yeah. The question is, when is that coming?
Yeah. Huh? I don't know, CERN. I'll throw it out to you again. Maybe you and I have already talked about this. I really believe so. We've got these little round canisters on our floor that we're supposed to talk to and tell it to dim the lights or change the thermostat or something. And young kids, I think, tend to talk to them a fair amount, but not that much. Maybe they ask it to, change the channel or watch their favorite movie or something. But they don't really engage. We don't engage with our cars that much. Most people that I know hardly ever hit the dial and then give the car a voice command compared to finding what it is on the screen. I could go on with a long list of things that we have. Siri, I bet I don't talk to Siri once a week by saying, "Hey Siri." Oh, now Siri wants to know what I want because I just woke her up, him up, whatever it is. Anyway, however, I think that all changes when we have a robot.
Yeah.
I think when you have a humanoid shape that you could have sitting next to you or standing next to you or in the room with you, I think it completely changes the way that we will interact with a thing that has the capability to answer questions or task.
Undoubtedly, not only answer questions, but then get up and do stuff.
Right.
Um, it becomes, and this is strange in many ways, but it becomes like another being, another creature, right? And it's going to take some careful development to think all this through and sort of figure out how people are going to interact with this.
Yeah, I think it'll be true in the car to a certain extent.
Yeah.
The way I compare it is, you talk to your animal. If you have a dog, you have a cat, 100% you talk to that dog or cat, especially if you're with it alone. You're
Yeah.
always, talking to it like you would another member of the family. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a game changer in terms of how we manage our world with information, as opposed to, having to pick up the phone or go to the laptop, type it in, wait for a response. It'll just be a conversation.
And you'll be able to tell your Optimus, I want to talk with Randy Kirk. And
Yeah.
the Optimus will be able to talk just like you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Will it be?
Could be a very strange world, Randy.
I want to have a pre-conversation with a Randy Kirk type person so that
Yeah.
I can see how the conversation might go before I make that call.
There you go.
Teenage boys could do that a lot to help them prep.
Yes, that's right. Could be very handy for all kinds of different applications. So if we get back to this idea that the
Oh, yeah.
taxis are robots,
Yes.
how about this? And somebody suggested that this is the European model for robotaxi.
Uh,
I
uh,
thought that was a bit cruel, but
that's
funny.
very cruel. That's so telling.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that though, because Optimus, fairly profitable product, I think. So having two of them pull this wagon would be fine with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right. We talked, I think, on the previous show about insurance being a bit of an impediment to
Good.
automobile ownership.
Oh,
This is from Charlie. He says auto insurance rates in the US have increased by 84% over the past 5 years. That's the biggest 5 year spike on record. And I just commented that the high cost of insurance has primed people to look for alternatives. Many people are not getting insurance anymore. That's terrible.
Wow.
And ultimately, Robotaxi fixes this.
Yeah.
So another factor besides you mentioned gasoline prices, right? In terms of driving
Yes.
um, vehicle sales, this is something that I think will drive people to Robotaxi.
Yeah. Technically, I've done quite a bit of study on this. Technically, this should either flatten out or start going down because this was still a response to COVID, where parts and labor went crazy. And theoretically, this should now flatten and start back down again. We'll just have to see, though. I suspect these insurance companies are going to be loath to give up the current rates, but maybe they just won't continue to spike like this.
Yeah, I mean, if the rates stay current, then the 5 year gain will be zero.
Right.
So there's just plateau at this new high level. The question
Right.
is, can these rates come down?
Right.
It'd be nice if they could, but we'll see. And then Tesla AI posted this in response to Tesla Asia, planes, trains, and autonomous vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was quite a clever shot there with two trains and
Yeah.
airplane overhead. And then is that a Model 3 or Model S? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Can't tell. Yeah.
Um, and then somebody suggested that this was a sign that Tesla was going to get into the train and airplane business. I'm not
Well,
sure I agree with that point of view.
well, Elon has certainly put his invention out there years and years ago, letting anybody do that train that wanted to. And then he definitely says he's got an E VTOL on the
Mhm.
drawing board. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't have the bandwidth to actually produce it.
Yep. One of these days.
Yep.
And Omid here says, excited for our Robotaxi launch this month. Driverless cars have been operating in our factories for over 2 months. Important to note that we are not using a dedicated lane for these cars. Trucks are coming with supplies and people are coming in and out of the factory all day. So Tesla AI, he reported that over 50,000 driverless miles have been accrued between California and Texas factories so far of
Hmm.
these vehicles driving themselves off the line to the outbound lots.
Nice.
So that's fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Um, Nicola here says, I'm more bullish on Tesla than ever before. I've been driving the Cybertruck with FSD for the last 10 days now and headed back to Europe. People in the US do not know what's about to happen. I even talked to people that invested in Tesla and never even had a demo drive with FSD, while it's as easy as walking into a showroom and take it for a spin. So not sure if it's he or she. This person went to a presentation, I guess, in Austin City Hall by the Transportation and Public Works discussing autonomous vehicles. And so he's reporting here that they're welcoming them with open arms. Well, the comment, except for Cruise, they're super happy they handled it in the towel. So the AV companies must provide a first responder plan,
Right.
how to communicate with fleet support staff, how to safely remove the vehicle from the road and tow, and how to recognize AVs in autonomous mode.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure we know how Tesla's going to do this part yet.
Right, right.
And then here's just a photo of, I guess, from the presentation. So they've got Waymo operating. We've got Zoox with the Toyota Highlander. And then the Zoox Robotaxi, which is not yet in Austin, the more traditional one that we've seen. And then the VW bus. And then AV Ride, Hyundai Ioniq. And then Tesla Model Y. So Austin has kind of become ground zero for autonomous vehicles,
Yeah, for sure.
perhaps even more so than San Francisco.
Right.
Um, so that's great. Uh, all these other vehicles look a little strange to me. The Robotaxi looks a little cleaner and nice, but I guess ultimately you don't really care if you're a rider what the vehicle looks like.
Well, if you're taking your date out for, the evening, or if you are taking a client out, um, in general, I think people are going to be interested in the customer experience, what they get in the car,
Yeah.
and nobody's talking about that. Zip zero, not even within the community. I've been talking about customer experience for, I don't know, over a year now. And I think it's 100% going to be about what does it feel like getting
Yeah.
in, getting out, and when you're in the car.
And Tesla has had many years to think about that,
Right.
right? And a team of people working on it. So I'm hopeful. I hope that they really have thought deeply about that and comes up with something that's pretty special.
Right.
Um, and then Texas law, so Texas Transportation Code 545.452, cities cannot regulate or permit autonomous vehicles. It's a state thing.
Mhm.
And then Bill 2807 passed by the Texas House and Senate awaiting governor action. So this is not, I guess, signed into law yet.
Right.
But if it's not vetoed, it would be effective September 1st. And it gives the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles authority to permit AV companies.
Mhm.
Okay. And they can suspend, revoke, or cancel permits. And the AV companies, again, they must provide what we just talked about a minute ago.
Yep.
Okay. Now, we got this letter yesterday from 7 Democrats in Texas demanding or requesting that Tesla hold off on operating the robotaxis until September 1st.
Right.
Now, I don't believe that they sent this to Zoox or Waymo or anybody else. Anyway, so a little bit of a stunt there, perhaps.
Yeah, a little
There's
bit.
the letter.
A little bit of stunt.
Yeah. All right. Um, Speaking of stunts, Business Insider reports that Tesla plans to shut down Model Y and Cybertruck production over the week of July 4th. And oh my gosh, Randy, there's
Yeah.
no demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
No demand for these vehicles. But our good friend Jeff Lutz kind of sets the record straight here. So he's saying that they don't design car factories to run 52 weeks a year, right? It's typically 46 to 49 weeks, where you have got 3 to 6 weeks downtime for maintenance, right? Holidays, inbound material lumpiness that shut lines down temporarily, and of
Mhm.
course, retooling for new product.
Mhm.
So the shutdown could be related to retooling, um, maybe for new vehicles. I don't know.
Some Model Q or something.
Yeah. And then we've got these trucks. We've got 21 car transport trucks that are lined up at Giga Texas. And according to Phil, maybe this is more hopeful than anything, but Tesla's gearing up for something big.
Yeah.
And they've just added apparently a new exit door slash ramp in addition to the 2 existing ones for Model Y and Cybertruck.
Hmm.
Okay, so we'll see. And then this I would put more in the speculative category, but it's interesting and I thought I would share it. According to TM Mesla, or TCM Esla, I'm not sure. The hardware 5 chip, AI 5, has entered mass production.
Hmm.
It's being jointly manufactured by TSMC and Samsung using the 3 nanometer process. It boasts performance of 2,000 to 2,500 tops, which is 5 times that of the current hardware 4 AI 4 chip. And Tesla plans to upgrade the FSD cameras for hardware kits equipped with AI 5. The new cameras will feature Samsung's weatherproof lens, which includes a built-in heating element capable of melting ice and snow within 1 minute, reducing image distortion. The lens coating is 6 times stronger than that of the current Model Y cameras and possesses hydrophobic properties, allowing for the faster cleaning of melted snow or ice water, thereby enhancing sensing capabilities in low temperature environments. So I thought that was all interesting. Again, I don't know if this is in fact true.
Yeah.
So take this with a grain of salt for now. This next one, though, I know to be true. And since I've personally lived in this part of the world, I can tell you this is exactly what it feels like. If FSD works in Australia where everything's upside down, it'll work in Sweden.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a while, Randy, to adjust to being right side up.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I don't know what happens. I was just, as you know, just in Kauai. What's Kauai? Would Kauai be like,
Kind of
at
on the side. You're kind of
side?
tilted.
Yeah, you're kind
Yeah. Yeah. It's really bizarre, isn't it?
of.
All right. So speaking of being upside down, downside up,
Uh-oh.
we've got interest rate policies to talk about. We've got Brazil hiking rates.
Oh,
Did I see a cut yesterday in Sweden, I think?
ah.
They lowered rates. But here we are in the US, kind of in the middle of the pack here. Um, who knows? Who knows what the Fed's going to do? Randy, do you have any thoughts on that?
What the Fed did do.
Well, what they did do or didn't do.
Yeah, they didn't do. They
Yeah.
they do do. Yeah. So yeah, I've put out quite a bit of information on this over the last few days, sir, and maybe you have an opinion. I bet you do. My opinion was that the Fed said that they're 100%, basically, they have their normal thing, right? They got to look at where the jobs are right now. And they said the jobs look fine. They got to look at the inflation. They said, hey, inflation's great. In fact, it's the last 3 months, it's way below their goal. In the last 6 months, it's below their goal. It's only over the last year that it's higher than their goal. So everything about inflation would suggest they need to cut. Then they said that really the only thing that kept them from cutting was uncertainty about tariffs.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, uncertainty about tariffs. Well, then they said in this analysis that they were going to give their expectation is that tariffs will add 0.6% to inflation over the next 3 quarters. So they were looking at 2.5, now they're looking at 3.1. All right. Now that 0.6%, you and I have talked about, I think before, it's very close to my number of 0.8 as the maximum.
Yeah.
I've been talking about for, I don't know, 6 months. And I think that my number 0.8 could be double what it will actually turn out to be. So my low number is 0.4, so that's right in the middle. So they're worried about a 0.6% inflation, and that's what's keeping them from cutting the rate to what's known as the real rate, or what should be the true rate, which would be 3.3 right now. So they say they're restrictive. They're restrictive by a full 100 basis points based on their expectation that maybe tariffs are going to go up this much. And then they acknowledge that this would be transitory, that it's very unlikely to have a long-term impact. It would just be a one-time price increase. So CERN, to me, that doesn't sound like enough of a reason not to cut. That sounds to me like a reason to cut. If you have inflation low, jobs solid, that would be a great time to go to normal as opposed to restrictive.
It certainly seems that way. It sounds like they might have been in a rush to get started on their summer vacations. Uh, and
I
kind
of
of
course,
punted.
I of course, I of course asserted that it was political, that they're
Well,
just trying to undermine the
yeah.
president.
Now, is the Fed still allowed to use the word transitory, or has that been stricken from their permitted
he,
words?
he actually never used the word transitory. He did
Yeah.
use 15 other words or phrases in order to not use transitory.
Yeah, I don't think he's allowed to use that word anymore.
But CERN, here was the other side of that. Here was the flip side of that, which is crazy. I called the Fed a bunch of boomers, because as old people, like me, they're looking at tariffs as the thing that's making the decision for them.
Yeah.
But he specifically said in the conference afterwards, in the call with the press, he said, we do not have an opinion on how AI is going to impact the jobs market or the inflation situation. In other words, it had no impact on their decision whether to raise or lower rates right now, even though the top 7 companies in the world and in the United States are all in the AI business. And many of the top leaders are saying that it's going to dramatically impact jobs, and it's going to dramatically impact inflation because of productivity increases. And yet they said this has nothing to do. They acknowledged what I just said, or were true. But then they said we don't even, it sounded like they don't even have a committee of 3 out of their 400 PhDs, or, a group that's been put together to analyze this, which seems to me to be a protracted issue, as something that's going to impact the economy for months, years, quarters, and years into the future. And yet tariffs, which they said is not expected to be long-term, is causing them to make a decision. Does that sound balanced to you?
Oh, perfectly, Randy. It's perfectly balanced. They're worried about the kid with the water gun squirting a little bit of water and ignoring the tsunami of deflation that's coming behind, right? And the ocean behind the kid. The water is the little bit of inflation today.
Right.
Yeah, this is problematic if they're not on top of this, because this probably is the biggest thing that they need to focus on. And if it is in fact correct that they don't have any of their 400 PhD economists evaluating any of this stuff, then that is deeply problematic. I hope that's not the case. I hope that they are squarely focused on this. They really need to be. We also need politicians thinking about this as well,
No kidding.
right? So, yeah, this worries me a lot because it sounds like the Fed is just, they're always kind of behind the 8 ball. Things are moving away from them. They're always trying to play catch up. And of course, that's not ideal. Now, I would say that this is a complicated thing, but it's not so complicated to imagine that we're going to have massive deflation coming,
Right.
right? And you might want to have your economy on the soundest footing you possibly could before that deflationary wave happens. Yeah, this is definitely worrisome.
Yeah, I was again. I called them boomer because I hate to denigrate us boomers, because I think we're pretty technologically astute compared to previous generations. But the thought that these old Fed chairs and presidents, most of whom are probably boomers, are that this is not on their list. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I spend at least 5 hours a week listening to podcasts from the All In guys, from the B2G guys, and 𝐒𝐚𝐬𝐚𝐲 and others, who are talking about nothing but practically their whole channels are devoted to how is AI impacting businesses, jobs, what do the future jobs look like, what jobs shouldn't you be going into, what jobs maybe should you be looking to go into, and the potential for a a a boom in the world economy, unlike nothing we've ever seen in history.
I'd be curious about how much time that the various Fed officials have spent educating themselves and thinking about this,
Yeah,
right? As opposed to the traditional things that they've been focused on.
yeah.
That would be very telling. Yeah. Um, Randy, I have some bad news for you.
Uh-oh.
We are going to be changing the United States currency to look like this. It's time to change the currency and reflect reality. I'm not sure if you can, how well you can see that, but we've got in the middle there a man holding on by his fingertips as he is falling into a deep, dark hole.
Oh, that's what it is, a deep dark hole. I was trying because it looked like there was some motion there, and I was thinking he was in some kind of a vehicle or something. But okay,
Yeah.
those were his fingernails dragging on the ground as he's almost falling in. I get it. Okay.
Yep. And then the final thing that's also deeply problematic is this chart, world nuclear arsenals. And the comment here is, who the heck is Jeff? If you look at the far right side, well, and here's Jeff's response. The far right side, Jeff apparently has less than 10 nuclear warheads, just below North, or in line with North Korea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we've got Russia and the United States there, 6,000, 7,000 each.
Right.
And then on the far right, Jeff has less than 10. Who's Jeff? Now, our friend Jeff Lutz
Yes.
has responded to this, and so it appears that he's a lot more powerful than we realized.
We didn't know he's been taking this hiatus from YouTube, and maybe it's in order to tend to his nuclear arsenal.
Yeah. I don't see Jeff as being evil, but
Yeah,
maybe we don't know the full story.
boy.
And then we mentioned this in the previous show, but in response to the Starship 10, the rapid disassembly of Starship 10,
Yes,
Elon commented just a scratch.
just a scratch.
I appreciate his humor on that. And then
Yes.
lastly, this cartoon, AI, therefore I am. We're bringing these things into the future, Randy. Instead of I think, therefore I am, it's just AI, therefore I
Yes,
am.
yes, yes. Yes, I need to think about that. I need to think about this. This might be the most poignant thing, or the most uh, re- requiring the most contemplation, which obviously this guy is doing.
Well, the AI can help you with that, though.
Oh, that's right. I could ask.
You no longer need to think yourself. You can just use the AI. Yeah.
Whoa, holy mackerel. I don't know what we're going to do, sir.
That was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've gotten into the habit of having this post-show, conversation about things, but I kind of inserted it into the middle there with my rant. I've only done that rant about 3 or 4 times so far, but I wanted to rant with you on the show so that you could respond and tell me if I'm missing something, which I don't think I am. I'm
Yeah. No, I think I share your rant. I'm ranting with you.
okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Say ranting Randy is I don't know. Yeah, did you see though? While we're talking about Randy, which one of my favorite subjects, there was I have people that have copied my name and my on X. They copied everything about me and just
Yes.
changed my little thing a little bit.
You've
Uh,
arrived, Randy. You've
Is
arrived. You've
that is
reached
that
that
is that what that
status.
means? Is that what
Yes.
that means? Now I assume you've arrived at that way before me. You must have many, many Cern Bashers at this
There
point,
are a few CERN bashers with different spellings, different versions of my name. They've
right?
taken my photograph and copied it. Yes.
Right, and so
And it's a bit like playing whack-a-mole. If you try to report them, they just seem to pop right back up again.
they just keep coming.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea is are these people doing this? My understanding would be then they try to get followers, and then if you follow them because you have the wrong idea, and so you're following because you think it's me, you think it's CERN, and then once you follow, then you start getting bombarded with offers to get involved in some cryptocurrency scam or something.
You probably start sending DMs to people asking them for money or something. Yeah.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
yeah. No, I don't know. I'm sure their intentions aren't good. I don't know exactly what their tactics are, but there's one Randy Kirk.
And one CERN basher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there are way more than one Randy Kirks, truly in the world, which is shocking, and my brothers and sisters are not in favor of that. My mother is okay with it, but you, CERN, I'm pretty sure you're the only CERN basher anywhere on the planet.
It's a very unique combination of names.
Yes, yes,
Yes. And some people thought that it was a joke name, that I was,
right. Yes.
somehow bashing the nuclear research center, the particle accelerator in France and Switzerland. But no, this is my real name.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so be careful when people come asking you to follow them bearing our names. Mine is Randy W. Kirk 1. That's it. There's nothing else. No numbers on the end, no numbers in between, no letters, etc. Just Randy W. Kirk 1. Yours is pure. You have a pure name. Just
I
sir.
do.
So
First name, last name. Yeah, and the thing to look out for on X is the verified uh,
yes, the verify the
symbol.
blue check.
All the imposters are not verified.
Right. And mine and yours, yeah, and that would be it. All right. So, CERN, any last thoughts before we say adieu?
Well, headed off to Austin,
Wait,
Texas.
Yep,
So
yep.
hopefully I'll have some interesting things to report to you next time we speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be looking for your commentaries on X while you're out there. I'm sure you'll still be posting from time to time.
I think that's highly likely.
All right, Cern. As always, it's been great having you on board, and to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.
Thanks, Randy.